What if the death of one man could reshape the entire world? Dive into the dramatic story of what happened after Prophet Muhammad's passing. The passing of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, on June 8, 632 CE, hit the Muslim community like a thunderbolt, filling everyone with deep sorrow and disbelief. For more than 2 decades, he'd guided them with incredible wisdom, justice, and divine inspiration, turning rival tribes into a tight-knit ummah united by faith. Even though his final illness was obvious, many clung to hope, unable to imagine life without the man they viewed as their direct link to God's will. When the moment came, grief overwhelmed Medina, leaving the city in shock and mourning. His closest companions, those who'd battled beside him, learned from him, and devoted their lives to his mission, were hit hardest. Some, like Umar ibn al-Khattab, couldn't face it, flat out denying that God's messenger could really be gone. In the midst of all that mourning, a big question loomed. What now for the Muslim community? The Ummah's unity had revolved around the Prophet's leadership, and without him, uncertainty hung over Medina like a storm cloud. Who would step up? How could Islam keep growing without its founder? There was no named successor, no clear plan from the Prophet on who should lead next, and that gap threatened to split the community apart. In the hours after, his companions had to make a tough call that would shape Islam's future. Their decision laid the groundwork for Muslim leadership, influencing not just the immediate aftermath, but centuries of Islamic history. What came next was a mix of unity and splits, challenges and wins. As Islam stepped into a whole new chapter, the death of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, plunged the Muslim community into mourning. But that sadness quickly shifted to a pressing issue: leadership. For over 20 years, he'd been the unquestioned guide, not just spiritually as God's messenger, but also politically and militarily. With no successor named, doubts risked tearing apart the unity he'd built so carefully. Emotions boiled over in Medina, and right after, Umar ibn al-Khattab, overwhelmed by grief, refused to accept it. He stood in the mosque, insisting Muhammad hadn't died, that he'd just gone to meet his Lord like Moses had, and he'd come back. It took Abu Bakr, the Prophet's closest friend and father-in-law, to bring reality home. He quoted a Quranic verse: "Muhammad is but a messenger. Other messengers have passed before him. If he dies or is killed, will you turn back on your heels?" Those words cut through the haze, and slowly, Medina faced the painful truth. With the Prophet gone, they had to pick a leader fast. The Ansar, the Medina locals who'd welcomed and protected the Prophet and his followers, gathered at Saqifa, a hall owned by the Banu Sa'ida tribe. They figured leadership should stay with them, given their key role in building the Islamic State. But the Muhajirun, the early Muslims who'd migrated from Mecca, disagreed, arguing that since the Prophet was from the Quraysh tribe, the wider Arab world would only follow someone from that lineage. Tensions ran high, with real danger of the Ummah breaking along tribal lines. That's when Abu Bakr and Umar showed up at Saqifa to join the debate. Spotting the need for unity, Abu Bakr gave a speech stressing that Quraysh leadership wasn't about privilege, but keeping everyone together. He praised the Ansar's help, but pushed for the bigger picture. As a fix, he suggested Umar ibn al-Khattab or Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah as leaders. But before anyone could respond, Umar, seeing Abu Bakr's seniority and bond with the Prophet, grabbed his hand and pledged allegiance. Others followed suit, and soon there was consensus: Abu Bakr as Islam's first caliph. Not everyone jumped on board right away. Ali ibn Abi Talib, the Prophet's cousin and son-in-law, held off, as some thought leadership should stay in the family. But Ali eventually accepted, choosing unity over division. With that, the first caliphate kicked off, charting the path for Islamic rule post-Prophet. Once in charge, Abu Bakr tackled huge challenges, threatening the young Muslim state's survival and unity. The Prophet's death created a vacuum not just in leadership but in tribal loyalties across Arabia. Many tribes had joined Islam under him personally, so with him gone, some bailed, feeling no tie to the wider community. Others said their pledge was to Muhammad alone and ditched duties like paying zakat, the required charity vital to the system. This wasn't just about money. It challenged the new caliphate's authority. If tribes could pick and choose parts of Islam, it could shatter everything. Worse, false prophets popped up, claiming revelations to rival Muhammad's legacy. The biggest was Musaylima, called the Liar, who'd built a big following in Central Arabia. He'd even written to the Prophet claiming co-prophet status, which got shot down. But after the death, his power grew, and his army became a real threat. Others like Tulayha al-Asadi and Sajja stirred trouble too. Abu Bakr didn't back down. He stressed Islam as a full system demanding full obedience, including zakat. Even when advisors suggested going easy, he held firm, saying he'd fight zakat refusers like prayer abandoners. With that, he launched the Ridda Wars, or apostasy wars, to restore order. First, he secured Medina against attack threats. Despite fewer resources than the Prophet's era, Abu Bakr rallied forces and pushed back. Then he sent Khalid ibn al-Walid, a top commander, to crush rebellions. An early win came against Tulayha, who fled and later repented. But Musaylima was the toughest. The Battle of Yamama was brutal, with thousands dead, including many companions. Still, Khalid's side won, killing Musaylima and ending his revolt. By the war's end, Abu Bakr had reunified Arabia. His steady hand kept Islam whole, turning a shaky state into a lasting force. The Ridda Wars cost dearly, but they solidified the Caliphate, letting Islam grow globally. The Ridda Wars hit the Muslim community hard, not just in battles, but in losing so many devoted companions, including lots of Hufaz, those who'd memorized the whole Quran. Back then, the Quran lived mostly through oral tradition, with bits written on parchment, bones, or leaves. As Hufaz numbers dropped, fears grew about losing or twisting revelations. Umar ibn al-Khattab saw the danger and pushed Abu Bakr to compile the Quran into one book. Abu Bakr hesitated at first, worried it was an innovation the Prophet hadn't done. But Umar's logic won out, and Abu Bakr agreed. To get it perfect, he tapped Zayd ibn Thabit, a young, trusted scribe of the Prophet. Zayd was nervous about the huge responsibility, but dove in, gathering written pieces and verifying with surviving Hufaz. No verse made it in without multiple confirmations. The finished manuscript went to Abu Bakr, then Umar, and later his daughter Hafsa, keeping the Quran pure for generations. After Abu Bakr's death in 634 CE, Umar ibn al-Khattab took over. He'd been nominated by Abu Bakr for his strength, wisdom, and justice. Some worried his strict side might make him harsh, but Umar proved visionary, disciplined, and fair. His reign sparked massive growth, turning Islam into a world power. Muslim forces expanded beyond Arabia, clashing with the Byzantine and Persian empires. First big win, conquering Damascus in 635 CE against Byzantines. Led by Khalid ibn al-Walid, they crushed at Yarmouk in 636 CE, ending Byzantine hold on the area. Jerusalem fell in 637 CE, a holy spot, and Umar entered humbly, signing a pact for religious freedom to Christians and Jews. Meanwhile, Persians got hammered at Qadisiyah in 636 CE. Despite being outnumbered, Muslims won. Their capital, Ctesiphon, fell soon after, toppling a mighty empire. In years, much of Persia was Muslim-ruled, one of history's fastest expansions. Beyond wars, Umar built governance, provinces with accountable governors, no corruption tolerated. He respected locals' rights, avoiding plunder. He set up stipends for the needy, widows, and elderly sharing empire wealth. His big legacy, the Islamic calendar. Starting from the Hijra, unifying time for rule, trade, and faith, still used today. Sadly, Umar's rule ended in 644 CE when a Persian slave assassinated him during dawn prayer in Medina. His death closed a game-changing era, but his model of just, accountable leadership lived on, influencing Islam forever. After Umar's assassination in 644 CE, a council picked Uthman ibn Affan as third caliph. Known for generosity, humility, and devotion, he hailed from the strong Umayyad clan of Quraysh. His time saw more expansion into North Africa, Central Asia, and beyond, solidifying Islam globally. As the empire grew to non-Arab areas, Quran recitation differences popped up from dialects, risking text integrity. Commander Hudhaifa ibn al-Yaman flagged it, so Uthman tasked Zayd ibn Thabit again to standardize. Copies went to major cities. Others were destroyed to avoid mix-ups. But Uthman's rule turned controversial. Folks accused him of favoritism, appointing Umayyad kin to top spots. Resentment built into rebellion. In 656 CE, protesters besieged his home demanding he quit. He refused and was killed, sparking deep divisions in Islamic history. Uthman's assassination in 656 CE threw the Muslim world into chaos. The once solid Ummah splintered, and leadership fights intensified. Amid the mess, many pushed Ali ibn Abi Talib, the Prophet's cousin and son-in-law, to lead. Reluctant at first, knowing it'd be rocky, Ali stepped up to restore order. But opposition hit hard. Key figures wanted justice for Uthman's killers before backing him. Aisha, the Prophet's wife, Talha, and Zubair challenged Ali for not punishing the assassins, leading to the Battle of the Camel. It was bloody, but Ali won. Aisha returned to Medina with respect, though unity took a hit. Ali's biggest foe was Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan, Syria's governor and Uthman's kin, who withheld allegiance until justice came. Their clash at Siffin in 657 CE dragged on without a clear winner, so they arbitrated. That pissed off some of Ali's supporters, the Kharijites, who saw it as betraying divine will. They split off, and Ali crushed them at Nahrawan, but their ideas lingered. Ali's support waned as Muawiyah grew stronger. In 661 CE, a Kharijite killed Ali during prayer in Kufa, ending his rule tragically and deepening divides. His backers later formed Shia Islam, believing leadership belonged to his line. With Ali's assassination in 661 CE, the Muslim world hit a crossroads. Leadership was up for grabs, unity shattered. Ali's son Hassan briefly led, but stepped aside for Muawiyah to avoid more blood, letting Muawiyah consolidate and start the Umayyad dynasty, shifting from elected to hereditary rule. Under Umayyads, the empire boomed across North Africa, Spain, and Central Asia. But it sparked backlash. Unlike prior caliphs chosen by consensus, they made it monarchical, favoring their own, which alienated folks wanting merit-based leaders. Their focus on stability and conquest over inclusivity bred resentment. This era locked in the Sunni-Shia split. Muawiyah supporters became Sunnis. Those for Prophet's family, via Ali, became Shia. It peaked in 680 CE when Ali's son Hussein rebelled against Umayyad ruler Yazid at Karbala. Outnumbered, Hussein was killed. His martyrdom defined Shia resistance to tyranny, cementing the divide that shapes Islam today. The Prophet's passing kicked off a wild transformation in Islamic history, not just leadership swaps, but building an empire way beyond Arabia. The four caliphs, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, and Ali, each steered through massive hurdles, ensuring Islam thrived post-Prophet as a global powerhouse. Their reigns mixed conquests, reforms, and internal fights, laying Islamic civilization's base. Unity got tested right away. Abu Bakr squashed apostasy and false prophets, keeping Islam together and compiling the Quran for safekeeping. Umar's expansions into Persia and Byzantium came with fair governance. Uthman's Quran standardization unified practice, but nepotism led to his death. Ali's time brought civil wars and his assassination, fracturing things further. Umayyads turned it hereditary, expanding hugely but deepening tensions and the Sunni-Shia rift. Hussein's Karbala death became central to Shia identity. Despite the chaos, these early leaders' legacy lasts. Justice, admin smarts, and vision influenced later dynasties. They handled unity, Quran preservation, and growth with grit. This era reminds us of leadership's power and pitfalls, stressing justice and togetherness in any society. The Prophet's passing story isn't just history, it's a lesson on strong leadership, division's dangers, and faith's toughness. Through unity and justice, Islam didn't just survive, it boomed, impacting world history we feel today. Those post-Prophet events still echo now. If this grabbed you, like, share, and subscribe for more Islamic history deep dives. Till next time, peace and blessings to you.